Hi, this is Rabbi Alon Ferenczi speaking to you from Heska Emunah Synagogue in Knoxville, Tennessee, as part of a continuing series of Torah talks that I like to deliver to you in midweek so that you can prepare for your Sabbath, something to think about as you go into the weekend. This is on Parashat Noach. There's been a little bit of a delay as we've been away for the holidays. I hope your holidays were great. In Parashat Noach, we were introduced to the character of Noah in the previous parasha, at the very end of the first parasha of the Torah, which we just restarted recently. And at the very beginning of this week, we learned that Noach is described as a righteous person among his generation. Recall that he lived in a generation of wickedness and violence. Quickly, our sages seize upon this idea of being righteous for one's generation and try to assess whether Noach was truly righteous, as we understood our patriarch Abraham to be, or merely relatively righteous amid his generation, though would he have lived at a better time, he would not have been considered righteous. It's a challenging question to which our sages fall on different sides, but a question that raises a different question for me, which is to say, is there absolute righteousness? Is there absolute truth? Do we live in a world of moral relativity and intersubjectivity, or a world where there is natural law that we can apprehend if we only try hard enough? It's a question, I think, that has very little answer. I personally believe in truths, that there are things outside of us that transcend us that remain true and essential. On the other hand, I think those are very few things that are absolutely or objectively true. So much of life depends on one's viewpoint, one's culture, one's community, time, and context. Morals change, or at least they evolve, perhaps evolving towards an absolute standard. In our life, in the life of a Torah, I understand our tradition to be, as Martin Luther King would have said, bending the moral arc of the universe towards justice. At each moment, we strive towards higher and higher understanding of what might be objectively and morally correct. On the other hand, I was watching the show Goliath, which is somewhat like a John Grisham novel, legal fiction writ light, and it described preparing for a deposition as telling the truth as you know it. That's, I think, the paradox here, that there is truth, but it is mediated by our understanding of it. That at some level it's subjective, and at some level that often eludes us, it is objective. So I invite you this Shabbat to consider the lesson of Noach, as we call him in Hebrew, what it means to be righteous for a time, in a context, in a place, and what it might mean to be absolutely and objectively righteous. Do you think there's absolute truth? Do you think moral understanding is relative and time-sensitive and culturally mediated? Or is it a little of both, as I've suggested? Shabbat Shalom. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to Eclectic Cleric on YouTube. God bless.